Welcome back. Now let's take a look at how this market picture has performed. There certainly has been some positivity then, and it comes because we've seen a few more trials come through when it comes to the vaccine on COVID-19. Perhaps there's more hope as well, and a few more companies have certainly come to the fore. In fact, US President Donald Trump has even given a $265 million contract to, wait for it, Fujifilm, in order to try and find a vaccine for COVID-19. Certainly haven't even heard the name Fujifilm for quite some time either. But nonetheless, it has buoyed the market quite a bit and even brought some positivity to a lot of the Asian market then. As you can see, it sits with some positivity. Only the Nikkei going down around 0.25%, but higher than for the Hang Seng and the Shanghai Composite, both up around 0.7%. That coming through into the FTSE 100 in London, which is slightly higher. But unfortunately, the DAX, which has run hard over the past couple of days, has also faltered today, unfortunately, taking the CAC 40 with it, which is down nearly two-thirds of a percent, should I say. None of that has, however, deterred the local exchange, which is at 0.2% higher. It's above 56,400 points there, so a good shift on that front. The big gainers today are the financial counters, which were down yesterday, right? So a big prop up today, 1 2/3% to the good. The banking shares helping it up as well. The resources, unfortunately, not doing too well today, but let's remember that these are the same counters that have gone up quite prodigiously over the last couple of weeks and even hit record highs. So that gold counter going down quite hard today, a bit of a laggard effect. They're still at 6,500 points, so still up at those record levels, 2.43% weaker. And all of that comes because we've had quite a strong gold price. 1,975 is where that gold price even went up to at some stage. Record territory there. Will it go towards $2,000 a fine ounce? I suppose it's a matter of time, and only if and not when. I suppose if we had said anything before COVID-19 had come about, we should have just said invest in gold. Now taking a look at platinum, though, unfortunately not getting any joy as well today. $925 a fine ounce, having traded close to $950 even at some stage yesterday and early this morning. Brent crude now higher though, $43.54 a barrel. If the sites of that vaccine do indeed come to the fore, because it seems the race is on to find one, as soon as that good news comes to the market, it means greater demand for oil comes through from the market itself, thus meaning that you're going to get a whole lot more fuel production coming through, so the price heads a little bit higher for now. It is still skeptic, but it is still enough to push it a little bit on the positive side. All right, on the local index, though, not so much in terms of joy. Of course, yesterday we did get that formal announcement from the International Monetary Fund. South Africa getting that 70.4 billion rand, $4.3 billion US. We'll unpack all the details about it in just a bit then, and what exactly comes with it, some of the conditions that, of course, lay bare with regards to that loan, as well as the total that we have seemingly gotten thus far from multilateral organizations when it comes to COVID-19 relief. So the rand, though, 16.57, it's 19.45 for a euro and 21.35 then for a British pound. Let's unpack this market movement and talk about a whole lot of other things as well. Chantel Marks from F&B Wealth and Investments joining us today from, I suppose that's your living room, I'm going to say. Nonetheless, that is the office these days. What exactly is going on in this market? Perhaps taking a lot of joy then from the chances and the likelihood of perhaps getting a vaccine very soon.
What's really interesting about this market today is it actually opened up a little bit higher, lost steam completely, and was actually trading in negative territory up until midday. So this move upwards is actually relatively new. We saw the market come under quite a bit of pressure because of the gold price kind of stalling just before reaching that technical level of $2,000 to the ounce. And then, of course, we also had gold shares come under pressure, and the big stock Richmond, which has a big index weighting on the JSE, also coming under pressure today. But yeah, I mean, the positivity will be around the possibility of a vaccine coming out. And I think also probably the possibility of further action from the Fed and from governments in order to prop up the global economy.
You spoke about Richmond being down quite significantly. What's actually causing that? Is that due to perhaps getting a sense from LVMH yesterday that even the rich are perhaps not staying in the market?
Yeah, Ara, nothing gets past you. It's definitely on the back of LVMH. So there are a couple of dynamics at play here. Firstly, luxury goods are very much about status, right? So if you are staying at home, you're not necessarily purchasing luxury goods because who are you going to show it off to? There's only so much that you can post on Instagram. The second thing is that
I can do it on a
LVMH
Zoom call. I can do it on a Skype call with you, surely. I can show off a fancy new tie.
Yeah. Those are my watches. So the second issue is that LVMH specifically doesn't have a big physical footprint in China or in the Asian Pacific region. So even though you are seeing an improvement there in terms of consumer spending, they're not necessarily benefiting from it because most of LVMH's stores are in Europe, and they were bargaining on Asian and specifically Chinese tourists to buy up stock in those stores. So for that reason, that stock has come under pressure, and Richemont is down in sympathy, probably more due to the first reason than the second, because they, of course, have a very sizable Chinese footprint.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at that LVMH stock price very quickly, that Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy stock price, they're actually down 5 1/3%. That was in their trade out in Europe as well earlier today, sitting at 379 euros there as well for that share price. So it does tell you indeed the market certainly struggling on that front. All right, very quickly then, we have the IMF, of course, coming out with that announcement just yesterday, propping South Africa up around 92 billion rand now is how much we have when it comes to the multilateral agencies. Then you see the rand take a slight dip. Is that meant to happen? Is that a sense of saying, well, less confidence in South Africa?
So the problem is that you're still borrowing more money, which means that the fiscus is under more strain. So even though it's at favorable rates and you have 3.5 to 5 years to pay it back, it's still more debt on South Africa's balance sheet, and that will be reflected in bond yields, and it will be reflected in the rand as well.
So that will certainly get hurt on that front. All right, very quickly then, the oil price also, that's now a little bit higher today, but in general hasn't really moved about, right? It's at $40 to $45 a fine ounce there, a barrel, should I say, there. What are we waiting for, perhaps, to see a big shift in that oil price?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, definitely some kind of a sense of certainty around when this COVID-19 thing should come to an end. The problem that we're facing at the moment is that there's still so much uncertainty that it's almost impossible to bargain on demand simply coming back. So as soon as you get a better idea of when that demand is coming back and to what extent it will come back, it's really going to probably continue to remain under pressure. Of course, when the oil price is under pressure, the producers get very finicky with each other as well. So there's a little bit of risk on the supply side also.
Okay, and the big behemoth that is the gold price. Do we see $2,000 a fine ounce very soon? I mean, 1975 is pretty close.
Yeah, it's a big mental level, this $2,000 an ounce level. I think that the chances are that it probably will get very close or breach it pretty soon, because we still have a lot of uncertainty on the horizon. And even though markets have been doing well, the gold price has also continued to pick up. And that is usually not something that happens very often. So the main specific problem that we have around that is that it seems as if the gold price is telling us that markets are probably a little bit on the toppish side, and that the market movement isn't necessarily trusted. And until we get some sort of certainty once again around when COVID-19 will end and how it will end, you probably won't see the gold price come back anytime soon.
All right, well, it gets very interesting. Chantel, whatever you do, don't spend too much then on the LVMH website. Remember, it's COVID-19. There's no one to show those diamonds all to right now. Chantel Marks, appreciate the time there from FNB Wealth and Investment, joining us as we unpack this market picture. We're going to take a short break now.